Hello, I'm Dana Payne, a Senior Technical Program Manager in Microsoft Gaming.
And I'm Bumyogida, a Technical Program Manager in Microsoft Gaming.
We're here to talk about how we are introducing accessibility features into our game developer tools, which ship with the Microsoft Game Developer Kit, the GDK. We're going to share with you why we did this work and what we've accomplished so far. We'll show a little demo of the new accessibility features, talk about what we learned along the way, and where we want to go next. Over a year ago, we embarked on a journey to start making the GDK developer tools more accessible to a wider audience of developers. Why did we choose to take on this challenging task and make it a priority? First, we want to find ways to encourage new game creators to use our platform and feel welcome in using our developer tools to make great games. Second, we want there to be more game content in the world that is available, accessible, and welcoming to all kinds of players everywhere. We believe that more accessible tools will lead to more diverse creators, which will lead to more diverse game content in the world. And we want the world to know that Microsoft believes in and prioritizes accessibility. We started our journey with Xbox Manager, one of our most widely adopted and used developer tools across many large game studios. This was a challenge because Xbox Manager was not designed with accessibility in mind. It was also challenging because it is a very complex application used to do many things, as you'll see in the demo later. We decided to start with 4 main feature areas: narrator support, which is the built-in screen reader for Windows; improved keyboard navigation, which turns out to be not only useful for people who can't use a mouse, but also is essential for the best narrator experience; app scaling and text resizing; and high contrast. Here is a view of Xbox Manager with high contrast off at the left and high contrast on the right. Note that when you turn on high contrast, Xbox Manager will need to be restarted. This is a view of part of our GDK installer experience. One thing we ran into along the way was that sometimes you may need to redesign a UI in order to enable some accessibility features. On the left is the original design. We discovered that this design was not very friendly to either keyboard navigation or narrator support. The description text on the right could not be read by the screen reader when the corresponding item on the left was selected. So we worked with our accessibility and design teams to find a better UI design, and the screen on the right is the result: a much cleaner arrangement that was easier to navigate even when not using a screen reader, so it ended up being better for all users. This is Xbox Manager, one of our premier set of developer tools. It is used for connecting with and managing multiple console dev kits. With this tool, you can connect to dev kits, update their software, deploy apps and games you are working on, and much, much more. As you can see, it has a very complex interface in order to do so many things. However, that doesn't make it easy to use for all developers. So we've been working to make Xbox Manager much more accessible to developers of all abilities. The features we focused on are text scaling, high contrast, and narrator screen reader support. First, let's show how to turn on these accessibility settings by going into Windows Settings in the Accessibility section. We'll take a look at text sizing first. I can bump up the text size here and click Apply, and you'll be able to see that reflected not only in the Windows Settings panel, but also immediately in Xbox Manager. I'm going to turn the text back to its default size so we can take a look at some other settings. Next, let's look at contrast themes, which is where you'll find high contrast themes, such as aquatic, desert, dusk, night sky. We'll go ahead and pick Aquatic and click Apply. Now you'll be able to see the Aquatic High Contrast theme show up in the Windows Settings application. However, you'll notice it doesn't show up in Xbox Manager right away. That's because some applications require a restart for the high contrast themes to take effect. So we would have to restart Xbox Manager to see the high contrast. For now, let's set it back to the default contrast theme so that we can take a look at one more accessibility setting. So finally, down here is narrator. And here's where you can turn on narrator. And narrator is the built-in screen reader for Windows. When I turn it on, I'm going to navigate around Xbox Manager using keyboard navigation just to give you a little idea of the experience.
Starting narrator. Xbox Manager window. Groups. Groups. Menu. Menu item. Capture screenshot. Shutdown console. Update console OS. Deploy or install application. Menu item. Consoles. Console. Home. 1 of 6. Remote control tab item. System.win. Media capture tab item. Applications tab item. Hide console selector. Button. On. Show console selector. Button. Off. Hide console selector. Button. On. Button. Reboot console. Button. Shut down console. Button. Update console OS.
And now, let's return to our presentation.
And now for our learnings. The first is universal benefit. An example of this will be our GDK installer redesign, which provides a more cohesive and simpler experience for users. Secondly, having accessibility standards give you a clear idea of what a good UX looks like. Good UX means having good accessibility protocols in place. Lastly, making accessibility a priority should be from the start, and adding it into the workflow of your product from the beginning saves a ton of work in the long run. For the next steps, which involves the future of accessibility for developer tools. The first involves using measures like this, media, and other outlets to bring awareness for diverse creators to our platform. Secondly, our accessibility efforts are not one and done. This is a continual process. We'll extend it to all our other tools. And in doing so, create an accessible developer ecosystem. We will also be gathering data to improve our tools. Finally, we could also use your help in improving our tools. If interested in other accessibility features, please check out the links listed. And if you're an Xbox Manager user, try out these features and let us know what you think by using the suggestion button in the upper right-hand corner. Thank you.
Thanks.